Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'm going to call the WSESD board to order. The meeting of the WSESD will come to order. This meeting is a remote meeting, which means that all of the board and the public body is meeting remotely, where the public may attend to observe, listen, and participate contemporaneously. Please note that while we will strive to provide means for those attending remotely to participate in the public comment period, there may be technical difficulties or reasons that otherwise prevent or interrupt remote public participation. If a member of the public or of the public body has technical difficulties accessing this meeting remotely, please alert us by email. In the event of a technical difficulty that cannot be resolved, we may continue the meeting if necessary to time and place certain. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting that are not unanimous will be done by roll call vote in accordance with the law. So the first item on the agenda is public comment on non-agenda items. This meeting was actually warned specifically for the warning article for school director elections, but the public comment had to be on there as well. So we are happy to share the time with the public, and I ask since I can't see that there are hands up, I'm going to ask if Ruby can just keep me updated on that.
So far, there are no hands raised.
Well, I'll raise a hand, but I don't know if I can.
Eileen,
that's fine. You can go right ahead.
All right. So the agenda currently is just, are we public comment for any part of the agenda?
Well, it's for non-agenda items. So when we get to a particular item on the agenda, then there would be some opportunity for a brief public comment. Yes.
All right. So I think I can hold until we get to the agenda agenda item that I'm looking at.
Okay. All right. So Ruby, I'm going to ask you a second time if there is anyone in the with their hands up, public comment on non-agenda items.
It does not look like it. No hands.
Okay. As my usual standard of giving 3 opportunities, public comment, non-agenda items, anyone with their hand up. Are you still scanning, Ruby?
Sorry, no, there continues to be no one. I'm sorry.
Okay. No. I appreciate you playing this role for us. It's always appreciated when board members do double duty. And so we do appreciate that. So it is 6:05. There was no public comment on non-agenda items. No one asked to speak. So we're going to move on to the warning article for school director elections. So I'm going to, if I can get my screen to move. Where is that? Oh, there it is. Okay, so you may have seen it posted on the website, but I'm going to read it anyways. Warning, special meeting, Windham Southeast School District. The legal voters of the Windham Southeast School District, including the towns of Brattleboro, Dummerston, Guilford, and Putney, are hereby notified and warned to meet as follows. Brattleboro at the American Legion, 32 Linden Street, Brattleboro, Vermont, 05301, between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. In Dummerston at Dummerston School, 52 Schoolhouse Road, Dummerston, Vermont, 05346, between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. In Guilford at the Guilford Central School, 374 School Road, Guilford, Vermont, and Putney at the Putney Central School, 182 Westminster Road, Putney, Vermont, between the hours of 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, to vote by Australian ballot on the following article. Article 1, to elect 5 school directors from the nominees to serve on the school board of the Windham Southeast School District from the day following the annual district meeting. 1 school director who is a resident of Brattleboro for a 1-year term. 4 school directors, 2 who are residents of Brattleboro, 1 each from Guilford and Putney for a 3-year term. The legal voters of the Windham Southeast School District, including the towns of Brattleboro, Dummerston, Guilford, and Putney, are further notified that voter qualification, registration, absentee voting, and voting procedures relative to said special meeting shall be as provided in chapters 43, 51, and 55 of Title 17, Vermont Statutes Annotated, dated this 30th day of January 2024. So that is, the board needs to vote to approve that so that that can then be.
So moved.
Thank you very much, Sean. Is there any discussion? Not hearing that there are any hands being waved or put up, I will ask if all those board members who approve the warning article as read, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thank you. So we will, I'm sure that Mark is on here, and I'm sure that he will let know that we have approved that. Thank you very much. So now we move on to the unfinished business. The first item is the Clean School Bus Program application, and action will be needed on that. We have budgeted 15 minutes for that, but I mean, we'll try to be as timely as possible so that we don't take all the evening from the board members and also the community. But I should have thanked the community for attending. This is a special meeting, so I want to put that thank you out there for anyone choosing to participate this evening. So is Frank here?
Hello, Kelly. Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Very good. And Kelly, if you're doing the hosting, could you enable the share screen, and I'll just go through that document briefly.
I'm working on it.
Thank you. I think that's Ruby. And
okay. Thank you,
I
Ruby.
I think it's ready to go.
All righty. I see it. Okay. So this is the document that I had shared for the last board meeting, and it's on the board's website as well. Super quick overview. Here's under the Clean School Bus rebate program through the EPA. These are the steps, in a very summary level of what needs to happen. Complete the registration on sam.gov. That's a requirement of any federal grant, and Windham Southeast School District here at the central office, we've completed that step. We're working on this step right here, receive the school district board approval to apply for the funds. So that's what we're trying to accomplish this evening. And then we're required to coordinate with the utility. That would be Green Mountain Power. And I have been working with them since October to make sure we have a viable site and that infrastructure could be added to support a electric bus fleet. So that's completely feasible, and we do have a proposal to do that, contingent upon approval. And then identify the buses to scrap, sell, or donate. Now that's of course why we are partnering with our current transportation provider, Beacon Mobility, because they own the buses and we contract with them. So we need to partner with them in order to be successful if we're awarded the grant. So that's a bit of an overview of the program. And then here's the specifics. They're looking for an executed memorandum of understanding. So that is attached to the package that I had shared. We would need, if we're moving forward with this, the board to make a motion to enter into the memo of understanding and to authorize the board chair to sign on behalf of the board the documents that are included in this package that we're going to review. And here they are, the executed Clean School Bus awareness form, the approval letter for the third party applicant, and then the electric utility partnership form. And then we've already provided the National Center for Education Statistics district ID, because that's how the EPA will identify us as an eligible entity. Okay, so moving through the document, there is a question and answer document that that's a part of the package. If you have any other questions, we can come back to that. But here's the memo of understanding that needs a signature from Kelly. She would be the authorized district representative. So the memo of understanding essentially is identifying that Vanpool Transportation, that's the company we've been doing business with. They use the name Beacon Mobility as the more of the marketing name, but it's formally Vanpool Transportation, who we've been under contract with for the last 6 years and have been very pleased with their services. And you can see they're a substantial company of 15,000 employees across 24 states. And the document basically is saying the school board, hey, be aware that Beacon Mobility is applying through our consent and on our behalf for this EPA electric school bus grant. This event in itself does not bind the school district to any legal commitment. It also does not bind the school district to any financial liability. This is a document. Basically, it just says that the school board understands that the intent is to apply for the EPA Clean School Bus program. Goes on to say that the buses must be in service for at least 5 years. It also says that the money actually does go to the company, Vanpool. They will buy the buses and own them, and then they're obligated to work with us to identify a transportation contract that meets our needs. So that's the nature of the memo of understanding. And then here's the school district approval letter for third-party applicants. Again, just a single paragraph saying that they acknowledge, the board acknowledges that Vanpool Transportation and Windham Southeast School District are acknowledging that they are pursuing this grant application, and that Vanpool is the third party that we are working with. So that's what you have for documents, and there's a sort of a quick overview of the program. I'm obviously recommending that the district move forward with this opportunity. It is designed to reduce our carbon footprint, to improve air quality for our students, and over the course of the useful life of the asset, I would expect to see this to be a similar cost to what we have seen. It's a higher cost to acquire these buses, but it's a lower cost to operate them because of the lower cost of fuel. The grant is $395,000 per bus, and then there's an estimated cost that would need to be invested for the charging infrastructure in addition to that. But that all would be part of the usual negotiated agreement that we engage in for transportation services. We typically do that on a 5-year cycle. So that's what I have to share.
Thank you, Frank. Are there any questions from members of the board?
Sean has his hand up.
Sean. You're muted.
Sorry,
You're
I couldn't see the little screen, so I appreciate it very much. I move that the WSESD board authorize the chair to proceed with the signing of the memorandum of understanding for the Clean School Bus Rebate Program and also for the EPA Clean School Bus Rebates Program as outlined on the 30th of January 2024.
Thank you, Sean. It looks like, Robin, you have your hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry. Before I make my question, Sean, would you mind repeating that motion?
Oh, sure.
This is what I got so far. Move that the WSESD board authorize the chair to sign the memorandum of understanding for the Clean School Bus Program, and then you got faster than me after that.
Okay, and there are two documents. So the second one is the EPA Clean School Bus Rebates Program. So the chair has to sign, from my understanding, the chair has to sign both those documents.
Okay, thank you. I believe I captured that. I just wanted to ask Frank, can you explain I thought that our bus contracts were as a supervisory union. Is that how we are currently doing it? Or how come we're doing this as the SD board instead of the SU?
Great question. You're correct. Yes, normally transportation is negotiated by the supervisory union per state law. The EPA, like most of the country, doesn't really recognize supervisory unions. They recognize school districts as legal entities, and so their data doesn't identify Windham Southeast Supervisory Union, which makes sense because the Windham Southeast Supervisory Union doesn't have children, right? There's no children enrolled in Windham Southeast Supervisory Union. It's a convention of the Vermont legislature. So the answer is, if we want the funding, we have to apply as a district. That is the only mechanism to identify ourselves. And the EPA does recognize Windham Southeast School District, and they recognize that we are subgranted funds for Title I, which is the criteria for this round of the grant application to be an eligible entity to apply.
Frank, can you explain or confirm whether Vernon had to, would they also have had to do this process?
We had a meeting last night with Vernon School Board, and we went through this exact same process. Yes.
Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you for that clarification. Eva, it looks like you have your hand up.
It just as far as the time, it looks like we're on the wire because it looks like it's due tomorrow. So,
I believe I saw an email. I haven't really pursued it, but I did see a general announcement that the EPA has extended the deadline until February 15.
Oh, okay.
But we're planning on, if the documents are signed tomorrow, we don't really want to go right to the last minute. So we're planning on moving forward as soon as we have those signed documents.
Okay. Are there any other board members who had any questions? I'm not sure that I can see all the board members. So if Ruby, if you see, okay. Is there anyone in the public who had any questions on this?
No hands.
No hands. Okay. All right. Well, the motion has been made to approve the signing of these documents. All those in favor of approving the signature on the document, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Frank, for that.
You're
And
welcome.
we will move on to the Gaza-Israel Statement. The school board and the district administration joined together to create a statement to offer support to those teachers in the district who chose to address the conflict in Israel and Gaza with their students. The intent of this statement is to support our educators who are looking to support our students. Our board does not tolerate hate speech of any kind, and no part of this statement is meant to endorse hate speech of any group. Just as we feel that teachers should not express their own political views in the classroom, it is also our intent to avoid any expression of political bias in public statements. I expect the board to act ethically. The statement we are voting on to approve tonight is merely in support of resources for staff to address major current events in a non-political manner. Is there anyone is there a motion to, does someone want to read, we should read the statement again. Does someone want to actually read the statement into the record?
Sure, I can read it.
Thank you very much, Robin.
Hang on one sec. Let me just open it up here. The events that have unfolded in Israel and Gaza since October 7th, 2023 have been heartbreaking to witness. We are acutely mindful of the horrors described by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres as appalling human suffering, physical destruction, and collective trauma across Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory. That is a direct quote from UN News of December 22nd, 2023. This is just one of many violent conflicts going on around the world. As our young people view these images and stories on television or the internet, they need the support of caregivers and teachers to make sense of these events and process their emotions. This can be especially difficult for children who have lived through war and conflict or who have connections to the region. The recent increase in Islamophobic and anti-Semitic hate crimes in this country adds even more urgency to the need for education around these issues. Across the nation, teachers and administrators struggle with how to tackle this sensitive hot-button matter with their students. Many may fear backlash or reprisals for even raising the topic or for presenting basic information about the horrific tragedy that continues to unfold. Our school district is committed to creating intentional learning spaces that allow our students to grow into critical thinkers. The board and administration of the Windham Southeast School District offer our support to those administrators and teaching staff who choose to discuss Palestine and Israel or any other conflicts with students in age-appropriate ways, explore the historical contexts that have led to this crisis, and imbue our students with a sense of shared humanity with people across the globe. The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Social Justice is well prepared to provide educators with resources to help learn about and facilitate these conversations and support the collaboration of our teaching staff who would like to work together to develop resources and materials.
Thank you, Robin. Is there a motion? We have to have a motion first before we can engage in discussion. So is there a motion to approve the statement as just read by Robin Morgan?
So made.
Thank you, Tim. Is there any discussion? Any board members who would like to speak? Sean, it looks like you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. On January 23rd, one meeting prior to the meeting, I was asked by a fellow board member if I would support a document. I was not aware of what the document was. I was given the document and I quickly read it at that time. Later in the meeting, the board chair correctly asserted that since the issue was not on the agenda, that it could not be addressed. The document was permitted to be read at that time. I have questions about this process. Is this a document? Is this document a statement or a directive? Is this a document? Is this a document that gives the 435 teaching staff permission to address In the classroom, horrific events occurring in the world. Do the staff need the board's permission to teach such materials? This document includes the expression students in age-appropriate ways. The WSESD is a pre-K to 12 district. By passing this motion, are we directing the elementary students and their teachers to have this included in the classroom? This district employs a commitment of intentional planning resources to achieve the desired pedagogy. Is this document in keeping with this goal? It is my feeling that this motion does not follow the process that it is within the board purview. I have received 10 emails today about this issue, 5 one way and 5 the antithesis of the first way. This is an untenable situation. I will vote no on this article. I will not vote no on this article. I will not vote yes on this article. I will not abstain on this motion. I will not vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sean, for sharing that. I'm going to ask, this actually came out of the Social Justice Committee. And so I'm going to ask Robin or anyone else on the Social Justice Committee if you would go into how this statement came about. And then as the board is not making any directive about, even if we do approve this statement, we are not making any directive on resources or how any of that come about. It is just a statement of support. Then I will ask Mark if he would just speak up. I'm not sure that he has any specifics about any resources, but since he was involved in the creation of this, or at least in some part of the process, he was involved in it. I'm going to ask him if he would at least speak to that portion of it. But Robin, would you be willing to speak about how this actually came about?
Yes. So one of the things that we had discussed on the Social Justice Committee is that there is a lot of pressure within the educational world about this topic right now. So some teachers have faced backlash for centering Israel in their discussions or for centering Palestine in their discussions. And so it can create a culture where teachers feel afraid to speak about this in their class because they're worried that there will be some sort of repercussions. So the intention of our statement was to let teachers know that we support them in presenting balanced, age-appropriate discussions that relate to these topics that students are already talking about and hearing about. There is, as has been alluded to in some of the feedback that we've received, a lot of misinformation out there. And so it seemed like this is a space where educators could really be helpful to students in learning how to discern what is this all about. And in the process of creating the statement was a collaborative effort between some board members and the administration with the intention of offering it to the full board for review and approval as we are doing tonight. So after the meeting where the committee discussed our intention to see if we could make some sort of collaboration with the administration to express a statement of support for teachers, then there was a meeting where some of us met with Mark Spino and the HR director, Mike Kelleher. And I asked, would it be helpful if we brought a draft of something to the meeting to work from? And Mark said yes. So I drafted a letter. Tim had also been working on something. So I sort of used some of the language that he had come up with and some of my own language. And we brought that to the meeting, and Mark and Mike offered some adjustments to the language as well, and said that they would like to have the other administrators and the Teachers Association have a chance to view this and have input on it, if that felt like it would be a good idea for the board to issue the statement. So I believe Mark did show it to all of those people, and they all seemed to be in approval of it. There was some feedback from a school counselor who had an addition of some language that we added to the end of the statement about supporting teachers to collaborate on their own materials. And then we read it so that the public could have notice of the meeting, of the statement at our last meeting, and sent out the statement to board members, and the Communications Council published it on our social media page so that we could allow the public to know what the board was considering tonight. So that was the process. I will only speak to my own thinking and intentions as far as the wording that I put into the draft. But for me, I am a Jewish woman. I'm a parent of 3 Jewish kids in our WSESD schools. And I know that there is a lot of grief and pain going on around this topic. And that I think that there's a lot of room for growth in our student body, learning about both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and what kind of ways that impacts how this topic is discussed. So it's my deep hope that the schools will be a place where my kids can engage, share their experience with their peers, hear about other people's experiences, and learn in a way that supports critical thinking about what is influencing and impacting people in conflicts like this one. I know that it's a really sensitive topic for a lot of us in the Jewish community and for a lot of other people. And so I appreciate that a lot of people have shown up tonight to, I'm assuming that's why so many people are here, to talk about this. I appreciate the thoughtfulness with which all of our administrators reviewed and considered this statement, because what our goal really is to provide a supportive climate in our schools for teachers and students.
Kelly, you're muted.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. So, Robin, thank you for sharing that information. Before I turn it over to Mark for him to sort of weigh in on the resources sort of aspect of this, are there any other members of the Social Justice Committee who would like to speak on this before we move on? Okay. And then I will, of course, come back to any other board questions, but I'd like to have give Mark an opportunity to weigh in, and so we can have the full discussion that we need.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.
I'm going to be tied up in this for an hour and a half.
I think Robbins was very thorough with her intention of an explanation of the process that took place. I don't have any specific updates in terms of resources tonight. I will say that I totally embrace a collaborative approach to identifying those resources. And with any topic, we need to be open to feedback in terms of how we move forward. So that's where I am right now, Kelly, and I'm sure there's folks who want to share some ideas.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And we look forward to hearing more about this as in the event that the board approves this. We look forward to hearing more about the topic, as it develops. Are there any board members who would like to speak on this? Ruby, it looks like you have your hand up.
I actually have my hand up. It's a question for Mark. And this is kind of a clarifying question. Or I guess what I've heard some concerns that I think are around an idea that the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Social Justice would be the only place that is disseminating information that might be shared on this particular topic. And so, Mark, can you just reassure or at least clarify that this statement of support isn't replacing the autonomy of teachers, social studies teachers, history teachers who are already developing curriculum and topics and finding resources? Can you clarify that's correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any other? Okay. So then I don't see any other board members with their hands up. So I'm going to ask if there are any members of the public who would like to speak. And I'm going to ask Sean, if you would mind doing a timer. Each person will be given up to 2 minutes to share their thoughts, questions, concerns, etc. So it looks like, Eileen, it looks like you have your hand up and you're the first person on my list of people. So it's on you now.
It's the last name, Arama. So my name is Eileen Arama. I work at BAMS as a school social worker, and I've got an LICSW along there in that name as well. I am an American Israeli, and so is my teenage daughter, who will graduate high school next year from BUHS, and my husband. And so I do have stake in the game. And I think I'm fairly confident of my understanding of the situation from a very centrist place. My concern with the letter, number one, I did receive a copy of the letter ahead of time from the principal here at BAMS. I wasn't quite clear that I was receiving it in a way for me to have feedback on it. So I didn't make feedback at the time. My concerns are just, I do love the fact that we have autonomy for our teachers. I do think that that's important. And I do also think that it is a really helpful tool to have a diverse set of sources for this topic. And I'm a big supporter of diversity, equity, and social justice, and have been for years. My challenge currently is that there is so much information out there, and sometimes the way it's presented, it will be missing a great deal of the context and nuance and confusion of the topic itself, especially Gaza and Israel. This is a long history, and there's a lot to understand before we can draw conclusions for any of us, let alone children who have not yet developed the skills to be critical thinkers. So my concern is with providing enough of a diverse amount of information with a consensus. And so my questions when I sent them were really about what are the special characteristics of those people that are being identified to create a list of sources that might make them especially proficient and efficient at this job. And I would be very honored to support that process and be part of that process. And thank you very much for opening up this topic. And one part of the statement right at the beginning was a quote from a UN source. And in it, and I'm just going to share, this is one of the things that drives those of us that are looking at the whole picture. When we call it occupied territories, there is context, and I'll use that word with a little bit of humor. And so we have to be, I think, open, honest with each other, having conversations and developing an understanding of what that looks like and how that can be a leading statement on its own without even going past that. So, so I want to thank you all. And I'd be very, very happy and very honored to be included in whatever that process looks like, if the board should open that up.
Thank you very much, Eileen. I wanted to.
Kelly, could I interrupt for a minute? Because you asked me to be
Sure.
the timekeeper.
Sure.
The last speaker spoke for 4 minutes, and I think you had allotted 2 minutes. So I was just wondering.
I did.
Yeah. So
I
I
did.
don't know how to deal with it. So if you
Well,
could
Sean, we will try to be gentle with the timekeeping then, since we've already set the precedent. But we will try to be we'll try to be timely. But we will try to be gentle with the timelines. Thank you, Sean, for keeping on that. I just wanted to say, Eileen, since you spoke somewhat about the resources and what sort of resources they would be, or this is my take from listening to you, and I'm wondering if I don't know that I got a copy of your questions, but I think it's more appropriate for those questions to go to Mark, since he will be the one who is involved in determining the resources, or the board is not. That wouldn't be the board's role, and I know sometimes it's really challenging for the board and the administration, and I personally am trying to continue to be mindful of how far the board needs to go, and the resources and how that happens is up to Mark. But I'm sure that if he has not received your questions, that it would be that he would appreciate receiving them. And so thank you for speaking. It looks like Spoon Agave.
I just wanted to say about the timekeeping, Sean, if you could just maybe give people non-verbally on the screen a 1, like hold up your finger when they have 1 minute left. And then maybe when they get to 2, you can just unmute and say that's 2 minutes, and then the person can wrap up their remarks if they're not done.
Yeah, thank you. I tried to do that by holding up fingers, but how about if I raise my thumb when the time is up?
I didn't have you on my screen. It wouldn't have helped.
I think you might have to unmute to tell them time's up, because depending on what kind of device they're on.
And Kelly, I know that you called Spoon, just so you know, Abby and Michelle were in line first.
My apologies.
I'm fine.
Okay, Abby?
Hi. Yeah, I'll try to be concise. And yeah, my name is Abby Manukin. I use she and they pronouns. I'm here with my family. This is April. I have 2 kids who attend Academy School, and I just want to speak in strong support of this resolution as a Jewish parent and a former educator. I have real concerns about I want to send the message to teachers and educators in our community that we trust them and that we believe in them to teach about important current issues such as this one. And I really don't want them to feel like they're discouraged from talking about issues because there may be differing views on it. That is part of what education is about. I have strong concerns about overreaching, like overreaching and censoring our teachers. We live in an era of banned books. We live in an era where some educators in different states aren't allowed to say the word gay. We have, and I don't think it's fair of us to say we live in Brattleboro, that will never happen here. And so I really want to put measures in place that make our educators feel supported and trusted and empowered to teach about the important issues of our time, of which this cannot be ignored. And I know that there are teachers right now who have real fear around it because of how they will be received in this community. And I think that this resolution is one step in showing them that we support them and we believe in them, and that the only way forward is through education and conversation and learning about what is going on in the world, even when it's a genocide that is really hard to look at. So I hope that you will vote yes, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for sharing. Michelle?
Hi, everyone. Michelle Green in Dummerston. I had a similar thought process of how Sean Murphy, the statements that he made, he really said it well. And I guess I'm still didn't quite hear a clear answer. I'm wondering why the board is making a formal statement. And this wasn't a matter of the superintendent working with principals to directly support teachers, which is his actual job. And I heard, Robin, you mentioned that teachers are experiencing backlash. And is that assumed, or is that something that's actually happened in our district? Is this something that we're extrapolating from because it's happened out of the state? I feel very concerned when the board is potentially outside of its scope. And I know my knee-jerk reaction, although the words seem very supportive, it's gone to show that it creates conflict in our schools. They need to be inclusive. And I don't want to see harm committed with a good intention because the board is stepping outside of that scope. So if I could just hear a response as to why the superintendent and principals aren't doing this work and the board is involved in this, I would appreciate that feedback.
Does someone from the Social Justice Committee, would they like to respond to that?
The superintendent collaborated with us on the statement. So
Mark,
they're involved in it.
Mark, would you like to respond further?
I think Robin was very thorough in the way she described the process.
Okay, thank you. Spoon, Agave?
I was a school board member a few years back and happened to be on the board when, in fact, several of our teachers brought the Palestinian-Israeli issue into the classroom. And if I recall correctly, the only thing that came out of that was a change requiring teachers to give more notification of who they were bringing in to speak. And there was nothing said that I recall about the educational aspects from a professional educational standpoint. I think when when we talk about controversial issues, what's really bothering us is fear that being engaged in a controversial subject will rouse some people to do violent things. And of course, if we gave into that, everybody would just make phone calls and they would say this and that is controversial. You can't talk about it. Also, violence and fear are products of ignorance. And what this is really about is educating our children to know of the situation that is endangering this entire world and to understand it. And I think it's very important that that our teachers get all the guidance they can in about how to present these issues so that they can present them fairly. But it is, in short and to conclude, essential that this kind of thing is a part of our school education. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking at the screen and I don't see anyone else with their hand up. Ruby, am I missing someone?
I don't see anyone. Eva, your hand was up, but then it went away. I don't know if you still had, it was still on the top.
Okay, Eva.
Robin actually said it, that it was a collaboration. It was the whole thing from beginning to where we are was a collaboration with Mark Spino, and Mark Spino did a fantastic job, and it was brought to the Teachers Association. And we would not have proceeded if it was not okay. So I just want to make sure that the statements made, not just from being the chair of the Social Justice Committee, I just wanted to say that, yeah, it was a collaboration, and I'm really proud of how the whole process went.
Thank you, Eva. I'm gonna give another chance for anyone who would like to speak on this topic before we're going to vote.
We have two hands, April Brown and then Laura Chapman.
Okay, April.
Thank you so much. So I'm April Brown. I'm here in Putney, and as an educator and parent and a curriculum developer for over a decade, and also a community member, I believe that it's imperative for students to learn factual history and think critically about the Israel-Gaza war. The only way that they will learn to think critically is by being exposed to this content. So I absolutely speak in favor of this statement and resolution, and I thank the folks who brought this forth. If we do not provide students with curriculum that's grounded in truth, then students are left with the stereotypes that are widely available in mainstream media. This, the curriculum can also include shared language and definitions for students across ages. Teaching about Palestine is based in international law and a respect for human rights. It's based in the undeniable truth that nobody is free unless everybody is free, and that all intersecting systems and structures of oppression are connected. So I see this all of the time in the world of curriculum, the constant dehumanization and othering so that entire populations do not exist and do not have a voice, that only certain voices are amplified. So I completely agree with what Abby just spoke to about agency and support for educators who are teaching the truth. And I hope that all board members will vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Chapman.
This is such a difficult topic for all of us, I think, that are paying attention, and I'm really proud of all of you for bringing this forward and thankful to you. I don't imagine there's a perfect way to do it, but in reading your statement, I feel like it's as close as you could get. So I too hope that you all support it, and just want to express my gratitude for your bravery.
Thank you, Laura. I am taking one more pass through the list of people to see if there's anyone else who would like to speak, and I am not seeing anyone. So I'm Ruby?
I don't see any hands either.
Okay, so I want to take the opportunity to thank everyone who has joined us this evening, whether you spoke or whether you thought about it in your own, just in your own sort of space, and the time that it took you to read and consider this and come and join us for the meeting. I want to thank you for that. So now I will ask if there is a motion to.
The motion was made.
I'm sorry, Tim, you're right. I have your name written down here, and you did make the motion. Is there All those in favor of the statement, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? So I see that Sean did not vote. So because he did not vote, either way, we are going to take, just to be clear and do this the right way. So I'm going to ask everyone who is voting to approve this statement, if they would please raise their hand. And Ruby, I'm going to ask if you can just list off the people.
Okay, hold on. Kim, Deborah, Anne, Matt, Ruby, Eva, and Robin.
And me.
Tim, sorry. And Matt? I don't did now everybody. Yeah, and Matthew.
Okay, and so then we have Sean did not vote. Okay, so the statement has passed. I do hope. Tim, did you want to?
And
do you have something?
And
did you want to?
Sorry, I was trying to lower my hand and it double hit.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So I want to kind of close out this topic by saying that I know that this is a sensitive issue, and it's not the only sensitive issue that we as a board, as a community, as a country, as a world, that we deal with. And my hope is that that this is a step towards, I mean, we are already working to collaborate with, as a board, to collaborate with the superintendent and the administration and everyone who is working to focus on the best outcomes for students. And I hope that this is seen as a real reach across to try and help make that happen. And I will sort of ask if anyone has any sort of thoughts on resources. I'm not sure what Mark and the administration will be doing for as far as those resources, but I invite you to reach out to the administration, and if you have thoughts on it, if you have sort of responses to it, suggestions. It's not the role of the board to be determining those or to be in any way directing those, but I invite you to share with the superintendent and the suggestions that you have or concerns. So on that, I'm going to close out this topic at 6:59. Again, thank you for everyone who has come and shared. And even if it's just in your own sort of space, you're just being here. So we appreciate that as well. So the last item on our agenda is an executive session. So I'm going to ask if there is a motion to find that that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the public body or person involved at a substantial disadvantage, with the expectation that a motion to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A7, the academic records or suspension of discipline, will be made. Is there such a motion for that finding?
So moved.
Thank you, Deborah. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of that finding, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thank you very much.
Will there be any action?
No, there will be no action. Thank you, Ruby, for asking that. I had not had that listed on the agenda, but thank you for that question. It's always good to ask questions. I very much appreciate that. So is there a motion to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A7, the academic records or suspension or discipline of students, and inviting in Mark Spino as superintendent and Mike Kelleher as the HR director?
So moved.
Thank you, Deborah. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of going into executive session as indicated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, seeing none, we are in executive session at 7:01. Thank you, everyone who has come and shared with us this evening. And please feel free to reach out if you have any follow-up thoughts or questions, concerns, or whatnot on any of the topics from this evening or anything else. Thank you and have a great night.